So thank you very much for coming. Welcome to the podcast. We have today Albert Prieto, CEO of Industrial Shields.
Thank you very much.
So can you tell us a little bit about what's the origin or the story of Industrial Shields?
Well, Industrial Shields, it's complicated to say when we started Industrial Shields, because the origin of Industrial Shields is the idea of use open source hardware, open source technology in industrial environments. We started, in fact, I started around 15 years ago working as R&D department, as R&D hardware manager from different departments and different projects based on mainly designing machines, and using Siemens, Omron, Allen Bradley PLCs. And I'm a mechanical engineer, so the thing is, for me it's easy to design a machine in terms of mechanical, but not in terms of how I can program or can use the machine I designed it from the past. So the thing is, I studied the mechatronic master here in the UPC, in the Universitat Politècnica de Catalunya, and I found some issues in the study, but because essentially I didn't learn nothing, but I was able to do what I wanted to do. I mean, not just mechanical, also electronical, and some programming different hardware, mainly standard PLCs from private companies, but I detected some requirement that I didn't know how to program, Then I studied at the UNED, Universitat Nacional d'Educació a Distància, here in Spain, and I studied informatic engineer in UNED. And the thing is, I joined in a little group of freakies or different kind of people, physics, mathematics, also engineers, called EEEE, and I was part of the EEEE studying branch, first of all as a member, then vice president, and then president, and I met the first Arduino board, Then I detected that using Arduino, I didn't need to know how to program, because there were a lot of examples. Then I just needed to understand what the examples defined, And then I proposed to the company I worked, use Arduino as a CPU, because we used standard PLCs, and also we hired different people working, or external people working and programming different PCBs that we designed, and external supplier also designed for us. But we didn't know, or we didn't have the knowledge, the main knowledge, And I proposed the use of Arduino of the machines I designed, and they told me that it was not an industrial product, that we could use PIC, another manufacturer, or other CPUs, but all these other CPUs didn't have the community, And then I told him, it's not a problem, but finally I was only the mechanical engineer there and the manager of the mechanical part, but I had not enough force inside the company to use open source hardware there.
When you proposed that, did you already finish your studies in computer science?
No, in fact, I detected that because I studied while I was also working a full-time job, and then I switched a little bit because I detected that I could learn informatics by my own free time, and then I switched the career from informatics to mathematics.
Okay.
Just for hobby, And then I start program by myself at home and doing different kind of projects. But the thing is that I continued using Arduino in my private projects just for hobby. For example, I tried to use an industrial sensor and a distance sensor, and after a week I could program the sensor through the original Arduino board, and I learned a little bit about how to isolate the signal and everything about electronics, because I am a mechanical guy and I didn't know nothing about electronic. Now, yes, and I have a team working on that. But the thing is, after 4 or 5 days, I had an industrial sensor working in an original Arduino board in a safety way. I mean, I didn't connect anything directly to the Arduino.
Okay.
Then I generate the electronic part to connect the industrial sensor. Okay. And that's the idea how we start creating industrial shields.
When was the starting point of industrial shields?
Well, I left the company after some months, and I started working in another company, but we also start creating industrial shields in 2012, and then just we created from 2012 and 2014 we just created the first prototypes and evaluating different Arduino boards, Arduino Mega, Arduino Leonardo, Uno, and Due, and tens of different all Arduino boards Arduino had, and we finally choose the 2 main Arduino boards we are using till today. Okay, I was working in the other companies to 2016, and then we start creating more products, selling products.
How did it work? You created the products first and then tried to find customers, or did you had some customers
We
behind
created
you?
the first 4 PLCs before have any customer. And in fact, our first online web page was created in Google
My Business or something like that.
No, Google. I don't know. I don't remember if Google have the application of create webs today.
Yeah. Well, it used to have. Now I believe they're obsolete.
I don't remember the page. And if you wanted, you could donate some money to us, but no, we didn't know how to receive visits at our webpage. And then at 2016, we changed our mind. We had some customers then. The first customer we had was from Lebanon.
Okay.
Distributor, and then we created the first 13 different products based on Arduino Mega and Arduino Leonardo, and then we start creating more devices, more panel PCs, and today we have around 600 different references of using, but mainly using open source hardware, and you can use open source software in industrial environments.
When was the turning point that you knew, okay, this is working?
The thing is, the customer, normally we couldn't choose the customer from the beginning. We needed to find the maker inside the company. And the maker inside the customers we had was our salespeople, because they told us also, this product is what it is necessary to, the thing told us, this is the product I tried to find, I've tried to develop it, but I had no time. Then your solution is perfect, because I don't have time to create this kind of product. Then that's why we were focused on create products, not solutions, not nothing, just the product, the hardware, and the customers avoid or didn't spend or waste time making their own developments because we had the standard product, and they could be focused on the platform, on the software, on the application at the end.
What was the problem that you were solving with the product?
The first problem is that people is tired of use private licenses and pay for it, and the cost of upgrade versions, and how it said, people don't want to be vinculated to a brand, to a manufacturer. They want to, the customers want to create their own product. And if they use private licenses, it means unreliability, the platform they use is the same from their competitors. And the thing is, they cannot have the differentiation between them. Okay, then they need to create their own platform, their own application, and they need to do this kind of things with their own knowledge, their own software. I always say that if two companies use the same Siemens platform, the result is the same. And if you use open source software, the result is what you can imagine. Okay, then the competitors can have the difference between them based on their value. Okay, then use open source software is the main advantage of the use open source hardware.
Okay, but really the value of the solution will depend on if they can achieve the specifications that they were looking for in their machine or their application.
Yeah.
With any of the closed PLCs, you can do anything that you want,
yes.
almost, right?
Yes, but if you start a program or a project using a closed PLCs, you will need to upgrade every time that the manufacturer require or want, and then you need to pay for license every year, every 2 years,
Okay.
Or if you in the next 2 or 3 years you want to create a new development, you will have some problem in terms of versions of platforms, because maybe you cannot use the whole platform, then there are some incompatibilities. The use of these kinds of products cannot be compatible, and then a lot of things, of different things and small things, that at the end the customer is tired of use private licenses.
Okay, but if you develop a machine, you're going to maybe ship this to Singapore to be running. You design the machine so that you don't have to run firmware updates or software updates. No, you will run this machine
Yes, for example,
as long as possible without any updates.
Yes, but maybe you have 2, 4, 10 different kinds of machines that manufacturer is creating new kind of machines every year. Then you design the first one, the small one, for example, then the medium, the large, and you want to have the control of the system, because what customers told us is that, okay, I want to create a new version, but for example, they used Windows, and now the Windows is Vista instead of XP, okay, from the past. Now the new developments cannot run in the old machines, okay? And that's why people told us about how to use different kind of open source software.
Okay. Do you think this is the main reason, or it's more about maybe cost or ease of development?
No, this is the most reason, but the cost is the result of our R&D team. Okay, I mean, we don't need to create CPUs. We don't need to create the libraries from scratch. We can use the libraries created by the community. Then we adapt libraries for the industrial use, but we don't start from scratch. Then the cost of R&D is less than the cost that this kind of manufacturers have. But I mean, when you create a machine which cost is 60,000 euros, spend 200 or 500 or 1,000 euros in a PLC is not the main. It's not an issue. It's not the main. The cost is not the main reason. But then you can do wherever you want. I mean, you can control just the machine. You can send data from the machine to the server or to the cloud, and you are the owner of the solution.
Okay, so that's from my understanding, it's the type of customer that in the past would have maybe developed their own electronics with their own microchip and developed software that could have taken very, very long time to do. They can do this in a way faster, simpler way with this kind of product, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And in terms of PLCs, and then our customers doesn't use thousands of PLCs because this is not logic. I mean, if you need to use 10,000 units, you can develop your own, or you can subcontract this part. And in fact, we have a department creating customizations and developing hardware based on open source technologies for customers with some special requirements that they have. Okay, but if you need to buy 10,000 PLCs, this is not logic. You can create your own product, or you can subcontract who can create your own product, and we also do that.
Okay, so they can just get the same code that they wrote for the Arduino and just build their own PCB with only what they need, right?
Yeah, that's okay.
What are the most common applications that your customers are solving with industrial shields?
Today is getting data from the reality, from the industry, machines, installations, and everything, and analyze it. I mean, from data, they analyze if they need to improve, for example, maintenance, monitoring, digitalization of production, timesheets, and this kind of application. Sometimes a PLC is installed next to a Siemens PLC because the Siemens is the product controlling the machine. But the customer want to create their own application because of the reason I told before, that they want an application that they can manage independent from the manufacturer.
Mm-hmm. Okay. If I am a machine builder and I want to build a machine today, can I use one of your products straight away into my machine and export it anywhere in the world? And
for sure.
Okay.
In fact, we have customers at more than 80 or 90 different countries, and our product is fully industrial with CE and UL mark, so you can use the product around the world.
Okay. There is even a Reddit thread on why not to use Arduino on industrial applications. So I just wanted to throw you
perfect.
some of the questions to see how we answer to those objections that people may have about this.
Okay.
So one of the comments says, if you have some proprietary code or algorithms or how your machine works, you want to protect your machine for people not to copy it.
Mm-hmm.
When you have your own IC, you can do things in the firmware or bootloader to people that are not able to reverse engineer this. And some people is saying that with Arduino, you cannot do this. You can easily reverse engineer Arduino. How would you answer to that?
Well, in fact, this is not fully true because you can compile the code and update the code into the Arduino already compiled. So you cannot download the code, the original code. You will have some hexadecimal code, and then if you have a life, you will convert to a code.
Okay. But it's not that easy, right?
No.
Okay, second question. So some people is saying that the Arduino environment abstracts so much the different parts of your program, like digital input 1, digital input 4, that you don't know and you don't have control over what's happening in the backend?
Well,
like you would have in a real microcontroller.
No, at the end, the advantage using Arduino, Raspberry Pi, or ESP32, these kind of microcontrollers, you have the full control of what is happening inside. Just at the opposite of what is happening when you are using a private license PLC. I mean,
compared to PLCs,
yeah. I've been using PLCs, and the minimum time runtime was around 3 milliseconds. And now sometimes people is asking, what's the runtime of your PLC? Depend of the code. Then you will have inputs from 0.03 milliseconds, or depend of the code or how you are programming, you will have 10 seconds. Because if you program a delay of 10 seconds, the code is running every 10 seconds. So I mean, you have the full control.
Can you run time-critical applications with Arduino?
Yeah. Arduino or ESP depends. For example, Arduino depends on the frequency of the CPU.
Okay.
The Arduino boards we are using now is a single core. I have single core. Now we are creating a new one with a new Portentum board, which is more professional and more powerful. But for example, with ESP32, which is dual core, you can run communications in one core, and the other core can be used just for control the inputs, outputs, the signals.
Okay. Can you run? This is more curiosity thing, but can you run interrupts on an Arduino?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Arduino, ESP, and also in Raspberry Pi.
Okay. Next one. There is one that is very clear. This is probably just a direct question, but would you trust an Arduino to be running 24 hours, 365 days of the year?
We have customers from 2014 that the PLC they've bought is still running.
Okay.
At the end, you can imagine every people talk about Arduino. At the end, you have a microcontroller. Then if you use this microcontroller under their datasheet, their specifications, it can run always.
How do you solve? Because are you using off-the-shelf Arduino boards inside the product?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you solve the EMC, EMI?
In a lab. I mean, we use original boards. All products are based in ESP from Expressive, Arduino, and Raspberry Pi. And at the end, what is important is how to create the product to save the EMC. Now the red standard, because we have a lot of products with using wireless communication, and at the end you need to design the product knowing that you are using the original board, and then you need to develop the external electronical parts, trying to be in compliance with the standard we need to pass in the lab. Okay. Then at the end you have, I mean, if you buy a CPU and you go directly to a lab, for sure you won't pass. But if you create an electronics and you create a laptop using the same CPU, you will pass.
Okay.
And it is the same.
And right now Industry Socials has, I understand, C because it's mandatory.
For sure.
Do you also have UL compliance?
Yes, in fact, UL is a standard based on an NRTL standard, and there are different different brands, UL, ETL, and now because of we are here in Spain, and we have a lab here next 50 kilometers from where we produce the PLCs. Our standard is ETL, but it is the same as UL. It is under the same standard, NRTL.
Okay.
So yes.
But it's not certified by UL, I mean, by the certification body.
But it's but it's the same.
Same certification?
Same certification.
Okay. A different body of...
Yeah, different...
So it's compliant?
Different brand, yeah.
Okay.
But it is the same.
So when I'm thinking about an industrial product, another thing that is asked very often, especially for safety, for example, it's about the MTBF of the product or the components inside of the product. So mean time between failure.
Yeah.
How do you control that when you're not manufacturing that board? For example, the inside Arduino board.
Yes, but for example, MTBF, the main advantage here is that this is an open source hardware. Then we have the full bill of materials, and we evaluated everything. For example, I remember the most critical part is a capacitor.
Okay.
But we analyze it that when you, time by time, when you are using a capacitor, an electrolytic, the capacitor has a less capacity. Okay. But the thing is the tolerance of the capacitor is good enough after these 10 years or 20 years. Also, temperature is affecting, but another thing, more technical. After the years, the 10 or 20 years after the use of the product, you need to evaluate if the tolerance of the capacitor allows the use of the product.
Okay.
And we evaluated it, and we know that the product will continue working after more than 10, 15 years.
Okay, nice. You just raised another question for me. Normally in electronics also there are categories of products based on the operating environment.
Yeah.
Industrial is typically the temperature range, for example, is wider.
Yeah.
How do you solve that? So the Arduino boards are using industrial grade components, or
the Arduino boards are using... Yes, because I remember the first time we went to a lab in 2015, I think. We connected different thermocouples in the full device, the PLC, but also in the Arduino board and everything. And at the end, what you need to evaluate is based on the technical requirements, choose the critical parts and detect the temperature range, and you can see the life cycle. You can use this kind of product, and you need to test the product in the worst case. And we detected that everything was well created, also from Arduino and also from our side, and it is not an issue for me.
And so the ESD, if you have a case for the product, is also not a problem.
Yeah.
Because it's protected.
Yeah.
What about the development environment? What are you using?
For creating design...
Yeah, the IDE.
Well, in this case, is our customers using different kind of programs, mainly Arduino, because we don't use, because we just are hardware manufacturer.
Okay, so they choose if they want to use Arduino one, or...
They use wherever they want, Arduino IDE and other platforms they can use. And when, for example, we help customers creating some platforms, for example, some solutions, and we use mainly Arduino IDE for Arduino or ESP32 CPUs, and Python, Node Red, and different... Python, Node Red for Node.js, different technologies when we use Raspberry Pi PLC, PLC or Panel PC.
Tricky question. In what applications would you not recommend Arduino?
If you know... Arduino or open source?
In this case, Arduino. In what applications would you not recommend Arduino?
When you need to install a web server inside the device. then I'll recommend you a Raspberry Pi PLC.
Okay, so if you need network capabilities, better to have.
The thing is to understand the difference between a PLC, PAC, program automation controller, which is mainly the Raspberry Pi PLC, the family we have, and then this you need Windows, operating system or not. If you need an operator system, you will use Raspberry Pi based products, and if you don't need, you can use ESP or Arduino based products.
Okay. Is there any limitation also in terms of if you need to perform more than one action or at the same time, for example, that limits Arduino?
No.
Normally, the Arduino is not sequential and only one thread.
What is important is understand the frequency, the frequency you need to work. For example, if you need to run at 500 megahertz, you cannot use this kind of hardware because you can not use also all other PLCs. You need to find the right CPU.
Okay. When to choose Raspberry?
Well, it is curious because recently some people is asking us for the use of a Raspberry Pi, but they cannot use Raspberry Pi. I mean, Raspberry Pi is expensive, a little bit expensive, that product based on Arduino or ESP32. But some people know about how to use Raspberry Pi, but they ask us for the Raspberry Pi PLC. Okay, but the thing is, if you don't need any operating system, if you don't need get data, you need to analyze the data inside the device, you can use an Arduino based or an ESP32 based PLC, because at the end you don't need any. If you don't need to calculate or integrate artificial intelligence inside the device, you don't need use a Raspberry Pi.
Okay, what do you think are the most in these years that you have been working with your customers? What have been the top 3 most interesting applications that your customers have created with Arduino?
Interested or curious? Interested at the end is monitoring and digitalization. I mean, products for the industry 4.0 and also smart cities and IoT. Okay, in fact, we created a product, a low consumption product based on ESP32, which can consume around 0. nothing picoamperes.
Okay.
Because you can configure the product as a sleep mode, then for sure the consumer is nothing. But the question was
the most interesting applications that you have developed with your customers. Yes.
At the end,
or innovative.
Innovative is in terms of smart cities.
Okay.
The waste machine for making compression the scrap of everything from glass to paper, so every kind of substances that people don't want in their house, and you can. I think you can create everything with this kind of technology.
Okay. So what are the product lines that you have? So one of them is Arduino-based industrial shields. Yes, the other one is Raspberry Pi.
We have PLCs and panel PCs.
Okay.
And panel PCs is mainly based on Raspberry Pi, which is compatible with other brands as Tinkerboard or from Asus or other brands, but the main board is Raspberry Pi. And then PLCs and using Raspberry Pi as a CPU, Arduino or ESP32. And from 10 to up to 58 or 60 inputs and outputs, analog, digital, relay, everything, and also communications, RS-232, 485, Ethernet, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPRS, Narrowband, LoRa, Sigfox, DALI. We have, fortunately now, if you have any kind of project, we have the product.
Okay.
Now it's an effort we have today, and we invested a lot creating this kind of product in the past.
Now, more related to how you have gotten to where you are right now. How did you get your first customers? Good
thing. The first customer was because we just tried to find distributors from open source technology.
Okay.
The first thing. And now, fortunately, customers come us, and then our sales team is answering more than asking.
Okay.
Then we ask, because at the end we are partners from our customers. Then we create products, but we want to be implicated in the solution. Because if you ask me for a Raspberry Pi PLC, and if you don't need a Raspberry Pi PLC and you can use a cheaper product, I'll propose you a cheaper one. Okay. But now we create different use cases from different verticals, different solutions, and customers come us and ask us for a product, for a technical guy, for everything.
What do you think has been the most successful action to generate this awareness of industrial shields?
Action. Demonstrate that the open source technology can run in industrial environments, creating different use cases, success stories.
Do customers tell you how did they know about you? Or do you ask this to customers to know?
To know what? Sorry?
Do you ask new customers how did they learn about industrial shields?
Yes, at the end they just want to or look in or try to. They want. For example, yesterday I talked with a customer and I asked him about how you found us, and in this case he just was searching in Google about Arduino PLC or open source PLC.
Okay.
And today people is asking more for open source than Arduino, because Arduino is the main brand, but it's a brand. Then that's why we create products with different brands and manufacturers.
I see that you're also very active on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
When did you start making videos?
Well, in fact, I started in 2016 creating a course. And I remember that I created a course based on Arduino, how to learn Arduino. And I didn't have nothing from the course. And I create a course and promote the course. And after a day, I had 100 different people joined to the course. And then I used my full weekend to create the first chapter. And then we had in the first year around 1,000 different subscribers to the course, and I start creating the video for teaching about how to use Arduino, and I start in 2016. I created my first video, and till 2019 we have been creating different kind of videos, but not very active on that. And now we want to, the thing is, our main, what industrial shield is. At the end, we are promoters of open source technology in industrial environment. So we have hardware based on open source technology, Arduino, Raspberry Pi, and ESP32 and others, and we want to promote the use of open source technology. So Node-RED, C++, all kind of platform software codes. And that's why we decided to start creating content to teach a little bit what we have learned during the past 6 years.
Okay, what is your vision for industrial shields? Where do you want to take it?
The thing is, when you need to create something and you start creating a project just asking, how can I create a product using open source technology? We want to be the first place you can find how to create it.
What is the key difference between open source and private licenses?
Well, the main difference is that when you are using open source products or software based on open source licenses, is that you know the code of the platform, not the code of what you are doing inside. Okay, and when you are using private licenses, you don't know what is happening there, and that's the most important thing.
Okay. As long as you don't use any other libraries that are private licensed, right?
Yeah, no. In fact, today we received a question about create a product based on Windows. Okay. but fortunately today Windows is based on Linux, so
okay.
It's not
if you use, I don't know, proprietary protocol or things like that, EtherCAT, for example.
Yes, but EtherCAT, you can use EtherCAT in our devices.
But is there an open source library for EtherCAT?
Yeah, we have.
Oh, I didn't know that. I believe they were all closed. Okay.
Yes, but we have EtherCAT.
I got this, or I don't know.
No. It's fully legal, and you can use EtherCAT, Profinet, Profibus.
Okay.
At the end, these developers or these manufacturers know today that they need to open a little bit their protocols, because if not, you cannot connect with any other part of the device in an installation or a building or whatever.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us, Albert, and I hope to see you soon.
Hey, thank you. Thank you very much.